ओम केशवाय नमः।
ओम केशवाय नमः।
ओम नारायणाय नमः।
ओम नारायणाय नमः।
ओम माधवाय नमः।
ओम माधवाय नमः।
गोविंद विष्णु मसूदना त्रिकरण भावना श्रीधरा ऋषिकेश नाम दामोदर श्री कृष्ण वासुदेव प्रद्युम्न विद्या विशुद्ध माधव श्याम सिंह अच्युता जनार्दन उपेंद्र श्री कृष्णाय नमः। श्री कृष्ण ब्रह्मण्य नमः। ओम
Okay. Ishara Parama Krishna Sacchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adir Govinda Sarvakaram Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sarva Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshapratesu Suravira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Segamanam Govindamani Purusham Kamaham Vachami Vegam Bantam Aravinda Dalaya Kaksham Bharavatam Samasitam Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamani Purusham Kamaham Vachami Aloka Chandrakala Sarvanamaya Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranayakini Kalavilasam Shamam Tribangalanitam Niyatam Prakasham Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Angani Asya Sakalendriya Vrittivanti Pajanti Panti Kalayanti Chiranchakanti Ananda Chinmaya Sarvujvala Vigrahasya Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Advaitam Achyutamanadem Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Deveshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atmabhakta Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Antasukoti Shatavatsara Samrikamyo Vayo Ratapi Manaso Manipungavana Sokyasti Prapada Sinya Vachinja Tattve Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Eko Visavachayitam Jagadanda Kovim Yashakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayaya Dantaha Andantarasta Paramana Chayantarastam Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Yadvava Pavataniyo Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahimashanayana Bhushaha Suktaipyamiva Jagamavataisthavanti Govindamani Purusham Namaham Vachami Ananda Chinmaya Rasapati Bhavitamis Tavirya Eva Nirupataya Kalami Goloka Eva Nivisanya Yam Shama Sundaram Achinchakanasarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramani Murtushkalani Amena Tishtan Nanavataramakarobuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Namavavak Paramakpamanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadandakoti Koti Swashesha Vasudhadi Vibhoti Vinnam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantavashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Viyasya Jagadanda Shatani Sute Traigunya Padvajaya Veda Vatayamana Sattvavalambhi Parasattvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasamataya Manaksu Yatpraninam Hariparam Smaratam Upekya Leelayatena Bhuvanani Jagadyajasram Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Golokanamni Nijatamni Tanecha Tasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Veshu Te Prabhavajayami Tasyena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Kristi Siti Pranaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichchadurupam Abhiyasya Chatesta Tesa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yatadati Vikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayatena Hikata Pritagasti Heto Yaksham Bhutam Apitata Samvaiti Karyat Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Deepajireva Hindashandaram Ramyupetya Deepayateva Vritahetu Samana Dharma Yastadrakeva Hikavishnu Trayamivadi Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yadkaranarnava Jadeva Jatismayoga Nigramananta Jagadanda Sarovakopaha Adhara Shaktim Avalamya Param Smurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyaiva Nishvasitakaramatavalamya Jivanti Loma Vidajata Gadandanataha Vishnur Mahansiha Yashya Kadabhishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Vasvanyatangma Sakaleshu Nitresha Tejaha Shriyam Kiyat Prakariyat Tadvitat Vadatra Brahma Yamesha Jagadanda Vedana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yatkara Pallava Yugam Viditaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samane Skanadi Raja Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahikaganam Ambo Gurudishasya Kalastatama Manasita Jagatrayani Yasman Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Ancha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yashchakshresha Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Teja Yasyagnyaya Brahmati Samvrita Kada Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Dharma Tapapa Nijaya Shrutayastapamsi Brahmadi Gita Padagava Dayascha Jivaha Yadatrama Prakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yaspindra Rupa Matavendra Mahosukarma Bandhanurupa Valabhajanam Adanogi Karmani Nirnahita Kintu Bhakti Vajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Chidanandam Jyoti Paramamita Nasvanyamapi Cha Sayakramishurami Sravati Surami Vyasya Sumaha Nimishanyagyoba Vrajati Nahi Yatrapi Samaya Vajeshvetan Vipam Tamaha Yagolokamitiyam Vedantaste Santashati Virada Sarakati Paye Ishara Parma Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakaranam. Auspicious mantras, transcendentally auspicious mantras for creating transcendental auspiciousness. Part of the tradition of a function like this. And suitable for us is to chant the stotras of Lord Brahma, the original preceptor of our sampradaya, which he composed upon the mature meditation upon his mantra, which is going to be part of this ceremony, the passing through the cyclic succession of two mantras, the same two mantras that Brahma meditated upon for a long time. And Bhaktisiddhanta's language became well acquainted with the ocean of truth. And these prayers represent some waves in that ocean of truth. Truths about everything and its relation with Govinda, the source of everything. And including ourselves, because we're part of that which is everything, we're part of Govinda and have an eternal relation with him. So the Diksha process is marking part of the soul's journey to that original home, being with Krishna. It took a long time to get from New Vrindavan to Farmington Hills. But it's taken a longer time to get to Farmington Hills than 9 hours or to get to this stage. Brahmandar Mamite Kona Bhagyavanji Guru Krishna Prasadi Vai Bhakti Lata Bija. One of the images in the Art of Meditation seminar that I like is an image of a microscopic picture of embroidery. And then the macroscopic picture of embroidery. And the microscopic picture of embroidery looks chaotic. There's no sense to this. Then you go out of the microscopic into the macroscopic, and it's very beautiful. There's a whole colorful pattern, design, intelligence, beauty. So similarly, in the journey of the soul to return home, there's all kinds of things that happen that we don't understand the big plan. And we want to understand the big plan. It's good to want to understand the big plan. But who has the capacity to understand the big plan except the big planner? And when the tapestry is done, it's beautiful. Although on the journey to get to where it's done, it's sometimes chaotic and doesn't make any sense, and so forth. the Gayatri mantra, this Diksha, is it follows the Harinam Diksha in our practice given by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Just some little appreciation. Rupa Goswami teaches there's a difference between principle and detail. And the Acharya, in our case, our founder Acharya, he adjusted some things that are detailed without compromising principle. And he very strictly, very meticulously, very principle-based, followed Bhaktisiddhanta, his Acharya. And yet, externally it appeared that Srila Prabhupada did things in a manner that was different than his spiritual master. For example, this one, ladies receiving Gayatri mantra and worshipping deities on the altar. The Smarta Brahmins didn't like even Western people, what to speak of ladies receiving Gayatri mantra and worshipping the deity and doing Vedic yagyas. And although there's scriptural authority for it, they had a different idea. And somehow they overlooked the scriptural authority for it and conducted themselves and spoke very strongly about their idea. Similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta was a strict follower of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When it comes time for the vows, the curtains are going to open, right? Go ahead. Go right ahead. Do your service. It's here. Go right ahead. Do your service. But we'll ask you to open it later. This is something I learned from Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu that I didn't understand before I heard it from Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu, which is that different than Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta very creatively, without compromising principle, established a practice that became standard in Gaudiya Math, which is now standard in ISKCON, which we didn't know wasn't standard before Bhaktisiddhanta did it. But it goes like this. There's a Pancharatrika system whereby, according to the Pancharatrika system, one may receive Diksha, just like the mantra that was chanted previously. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gato pila. Whether purified or unpurified. Yasmaret Pundari Kaksham, by remembering the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, one is carried beyond the temporary into the transcendental realm. Just by that act, and the act of remembrance is awakened by the act of chanting. And therefore, the mantra, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. And of all Vishnu names, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is superlative, according to it. So, initiation into the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, which is a Pancharatrika authorized procedure, which we know in ISKCON is first initiation. But what I learned from Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu was this was an innovation of Bhaktisiddhanta, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't have such first initiation or Harinam Diksha. There was no such thing. At least that's my understanding. And one of the evidences of that had to do with a very interesting incident, one of the protection incidents in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life. When he was magistrate in Puri, he went to a place where Ramananda Roy would also go and recite scripture. And so Jagannath Vallabhkardan's Bhaktivinoda Thakur would recite from Srimad Bhagavatam, and because he was such a prominent Vaishnava, many persons would come, and there was Babaji. I can't remember for sure his name, Rakanath Das Babaji or something like that. Ramananda Babaji, something like that. And he was very strict, and he started speaking badly about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that you shouldn't go and hear from him. And the people, when you say something bad about somebody, guess what? It goes to the somebody you said something bad about. It's just how the world works. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to know this was being said about him, but he continued because he was doing service to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And the Babaji contracted a very severe illness, deep fever, he was about to die. In his dream, Lord Jagannath came and said, Shimanyu, you've spoken badly about a dear devotee and great Vaishnava. Even in your feverish condition, go and fall at his feet and beg forgiveness, and then you'll be all right. So he dragged himself to Bhaktivinoda and told him of the dream and said, I didn't understand how dear you were to Lord Jagannath. I didn't understand your greatness, and so I spoke the way that I spoke. And I spoke the way that I spoke because you weren't wearing tilak and you weren't wearing neck beads. And how can you, without having those external forms, speak the Bhagavatam? So here's an unqualified person speaking the Bhagavatam, so I oppose you're doing that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur replied that I haven't found my spiritual master yet. I have not yet received Diksha, and therefore I don't yet have tilak and neck beads, but I have full faith in Krishna. And I'm speaking as I've heard from previous acharyas, which was what he was doing. So Bhaktivinoda not only gave forgiveness for the offense against that such an exalted devotee, speaking unknowingly, good intention, but you don't do that kind of behavior. He knew some medicine and treated the Babaji, and he became cured, and they became best of friends. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written an essay, most likely in Bengali, translated into English, called Pancha Sanskar, in which he gives some details about this little ceremony we're doing right now, this Brahminical initiation, because at that time it wasn't Brahminical initiation or second initiation, it was initiation, Diksha. And the five, that he details, the Pancha, the five elements, include receiving neck beads, which is my understanding of why even at second initiation I'm receiving your neck beads, because it's part of the procedure. And tilak, which Prabhupada very kindly made the adjustment that even people not initiated wear tilak. But when initiation, then there's tilak, that's 2 of the 5. And then a name, that happens at first initiation, that was bifurcated by Bhakti Siddhanta. With first initiation, a name is given. A deity, traditionally, would be given. The young Brahmin boy, when receiving Gayatri mantra, would commonly receive a Shalakam Shila from his guru. And the procedures, because the mantras received are the means for entering into the worship of the deity, or say it reverse. Without the worship of approaching the deity through mantra, it's incomplete, or you could say it's practice, but it's incomplete. So therefore, our ISKCON standard is deities on the altar are to be worshipped only by twice initiated Brahmins, and similarly kitchen activity because it's an extension of the altar. So that's 4, and the number 5 traditionally in the Pancha Samskara is tapa. And in this essay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that in the Sri Sampradaya, the male recipients of Gayatri would receive a hot brand on their shoulder, burning the symbols of Vishnu on their shoulder. And that's there for their life. They don't have the tilak on their shoulder because they've got that mark. And he writes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very merciful, he didn't require that. Rather, for the Vaishnava, the tapa for the Vaishnava, the Gaudiya Vaishnava, is regret, which means I wasted so much time. And not only in this lifetime, who knows, the journey to get to this place, not only the 9-hour drive, but the journey to get to this place. So much time. And then the mission is to complete the journey. So this isn't the completion of the journey, this is a step or a train stop on the path to where the train is meant to take us, where the process is meant to take us. And the process is meant for persons who Shreya Uttama, Jigyasu Shreya Uttama, one of the mantras that Prabhupada would refer to invariably in relation to initiation, at the time of initiation. Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. That is, when one is inquisitive to know the Uttama, Uttama. Tama means darkness, and Uttama is beyond darkness, or the Shreya Uttama, the long-term benefit, the ultimate benefit, the destination of the soul. Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. When one has that inquisitive spirit, that person, it's mandatory, it's imperative, not optional. That person requires a spiritual master. And conversely, those that don't have that inquisitiveness or that jigyasu shreya uttama, they don't require a spiritual master. Or the spiritual master should examine to see if the disciple really has that interest. And, then instructions are given and other assistance is given to complete the journey. And then the completion of the journey is more journey. It's more of the same, of the application of sound and messages, instructions, and so forth. And the intention, this is another little understanding that I like a lot. It's an understanding from Jiva Goswami, that the essence of bhakti is the intention to Krishna, or say it, same thing in different language. The intention of the soul is to please Krishna. Within the soul of every living entity is that intention covered. And spiritual life, transcendental life, uttama life, is to remove the covering and awaken that which is already there. The intention to please Krishna and refine it and refine it and refine it, just like a diamond or some gem or something that's very, very valuable, so it sparkles. And we don't become complacent after Diksha, we continue, because the journey isn't over yet. It's a stop on the way to the completion of the journey. The mantra, as Brahma received mantra from the prototype Saraswati and from Krishna, the two mantras. So in disciplic succession, there's the receiving of the mantra, and then there's the further purification from the chanting of the mantra and the other activities that accompany the chanting of the mantra, particularly worship of the deity, another one of the 5 primary activities that are very powerful. So my understanding is you wish to worship the deity, and Radha and Davachandra are very affectionate, and they'll, I'm sure, happily receive you and your worship and whatever are the other deities that accompany them, and deities in your home as well. It's a method, chanting of Gayatri mantra and worship, approaching the deity through the mantra, is the means. One of our scholarly devotees in ISKCON, Bhanu Swami, has done a lot of research, because it's a really hot topic in ISKCON, especially in South India, about, the function of Diksha. And the function of Diksha traditionally is just Gayatri mantra. So the function of Diksha is for worship of the deity. Now, it's not only for worship of the deity, it's to assist one to go to meet the ultimate conclusion. It's part of the Pancharatrika system. It's part of the Vedic. So the first initiation is part of the Pancharatrika system, and the second initiation is part of the Vaidika system. But to qualify one for the Vaidika system, one needs the purification of the Pancharatrika system. That was the teaching, and that was the practice that Bhaktisiddhanta established, that Srila Prabhupada continued, and we're also doing today. One has to be qualified and continue to be further qualified, further purified by that process, mantra chanting, deity worship, and setting the standard for society, not only the Hare Krishna devotee community, but the outside community, those who are not sadhakas, to be emblems of what Vaishnava is. That's a nice service. And to not do that, one could say it's a disservice, or it falls short of what the service opportunity is. So our founder Acharya is very merciful. He gave initiation carefully, but first initiation liberally. I'll tell one story, then I'm going to end speaking. The importance that Prabhupada placed on second initiation. It's a little Prabhupada story. So in 1972, I think it was the summer of 1972 or 73, Srila Prabhupada was visiting in New York, and he wasn't visiting so many places in America, so many devotees came from different places in America to be with Prabhupada and have their local devotees initiated. So during that particular year, there were batches of 10, and Prabhupada sat on the Vyasa-san, and on the microphone stand were the strings of the beads, and right in front of everybody he would take beads off the microphone stand, chant on the beads, in much less time than I chant my japa, and then put them back on and then chant on all the beads, and then give the names. And then there was a day that it was second initiations. So Gunagrahi Maharaj told me this because we went to college together. He was one of many people that came from the same university that I did. And so he, at that time, was president in the San Diego Temple. And it's a longer version, but 3 times Prabhupada called him to his room. He was thinking, wow, Prabhupada called him to his room. And it was the same question all 3 times. Are these candidates for second initiation qualified? Are you sure? And each time he went back and checked with the other Prabhus from San Diego, and he was sure, and he was sure, and he was sure. So they all received second initiation. But he understood from that that Prabhupada wanted the persons recommending to be really sure. And he gave his answers, and then he told me that, after some years, there was something like 8 of them, and only 1 of them was still practicing Krishna consciousness after some years. Even after 3 times Prabhupada examining, are you sure? So initiation is not an event. It's sometimes devotees become, really excited and preparing themselves for the event. And when the event is over, the submission slackens, and you know what happens. The external energy starts to creep in, or quickly moves in, and the spiritual vitality fades, and misfortune resumes. The external energy rules. So our function is to take shelter of the internal energy, and that's an act of submission and mercy both, and it needs to continue for the purpose that it originally started, which is jigyasu shreya uttama, wanting to the utmost benefit. So, those that have come for this little ceremony, give your blessings to her. Now, what are we going to do about the curtain being closed? I mean, there's no vows or anything here, but when is it over?
12:25. And then
6 minutes. Okay, we'll proceed. There's no vows before the deity because there's no vows. Okay, we'll proceed.
And you want to ask her to reconfirm the vows that she has taken?
Huh?
You want to ask her to reconfirm the vows that she has taken during the
I'm not experienced at doing that. Is that something you're accustomed to? Reaffirming vows?
I have seen it.
You have seen it. Is it common?
I have seen 4 or 5 occasions with the different.
I've never seen it. Radhanath Maharaj does that?
Yes, ma'am.
Reaffirm the first initiation vows. But we're going to have to open the curtain.
I think she can do it afterwards.
Okay, we proceed. That's an interesting procedure.
You want to do it? नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते रोमपादस्वामी इति नामिने स्वाहा
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानतिनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्वाहा श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टम् स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं स्वाहा स्वाहा अन्येहं श्रीगुरो श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणारघुनाथं
अन्तिकं तं सजीवं साधितं सावधूतं
साद्वैतं सावधूतं
परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा भगनललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च
स्वाहा नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेष शून्यवादी
देशतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले
श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त
सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीहर्षभानवी देवी विनायकाय कृपाब्धाये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान प्रभवे नमः मधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाध्य श्रीकृपानुगभक्तिदा गौरकरुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी मूर्ताये दीनतारिणे भानुगविरुद्धा भवसिद्धान्तध्वान्तहारिणे स्वाहा गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद्वैराग्यमूर्तये जयते नमः भक्तिविनोदाय आनन्दनामिने शक्तिस्वरूपाय अनुगहरायते Nirveshtam Nirveshtam Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Chaitanya Name Gauratvashe Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhakavataram Bhaktakyam Mami Bhakta Shaktikam
Govindaya namo namaha.